some of these common mistakes, you can change them pretty much instantly. And I'm going to show you what to do instead. So already you can go and have much better results from your interactions, from your communications, and start attracting more of your dream clients, which is my goal for everybody who listens to this podcast. Because if you're working with the right clients, that is when you're going to have an impact that the world needs. That's when you're going to start having the income that you need to have a sustainable business. For too long, talented experts with a service-based business like coaches, consultants, and freelancers have been losing out to the often inferior competition, and for just one reason: they struggle to communicate the true value of what they offer. This is made all the more challenging if you have a quiet personality or you don't already have a solid marketing background. If you can relate, I'm excited that you're here because I believe that value whispering can help. It's the art of getting to know your true value, then weaving this through every interaction you have so you can naturally stand apart from your competitors, feel aligned in everything that you do, and have an impact that matters. Welcome, I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, and I'm excited to be your guide in mastering the art of value whispering. About 3 years ago now, I released the book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, and I'm really excited that that is now available as an audiobook as well. And if you're not already familiar with that book, I included the first chapter at the end of the last 2 podcast episodes for you, so go and have a listen to that. And if you have read and enjoyed the book or listened to it, send me a snapshot of your review on Amazon and I'll send you access to all of my bonus training and resources on networking. When it comes to networking, one thing that you have to do is, of course, talk about your business. So this is a big challenge I see for a lot of people, and it's one of the reasons I started this business in the first place. When I started my business journey 16 years ago now, I was a communication consultant and I worked mostly for large companies, some of the biggest in the world, the UN, and I was working with a lot of leaders, lots of project leaders, to help them with their visibility, with their employee engagement, and to really make things that felt complicated or things that were maybe a bit sensitive. I made those feel easier and engage people in those ideas through communication. However, when I was networking, a lot of the networks I go to are with other women, other coaches, and I just saw consistently that when I asked people what they did, I came away thinking, okay, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't know what they've just told me. And I felt really stupid. Am I a bit dim? Am I just not getting this? But this was happening consistently. And I started talking about what I did, and then people were like, well, you need to help me with my business. And I kept thinking to myself, I can't help you with your business. What do you think I would do? And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, they want me to help them with their business growth and business development and all of these big terms that wasn't really my expertise. Marketing, communications, that's all I've ever done. But when I started to have conversations with these people consistently, they wanted help to know how to talk about what they did in a way that felt natural, felt easy, felt comfortable, but at the same time, the other person got it. And then one lady was like, but you have to help. You're the only one that does this. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but it is definitely what my work has always been about. It's helping to communicate in a way that engages other people, that elevates your brand and credibility, or builds it if you don't have that branding in place already. And so that's what I decided to do. And it felt much more aligned with me because in corporate, I had worked with a lot of the women's networks, helped them to really believe in their value, to speak up more, build their confidence. And I saw that that kind of support for entrepreneurial people and women was mostly my network was missing. There was no one else supporting them with this. So I decided to pivot my business. And since then, I have been running what is now the Value Whispering Blueprint, which helps people to understand what that value is and to communicate it not just through your formal messages, but through every interaction that you have. Every touch point you have with your clients, they already start to feel this value that you offer, so that you don't need to be loud, you don't need to shout, you don't need to be posting braggy things on social media the whole time. You can just show up, be your genuine self. You can create events and messaging and different forms of communication and connection that is going to help bring that value to your ideal clients already. And one of my clients described it as side door marketing. She said that while everyone else is knocking politely on the front door and introducing themselves, she feels that she's straight in the side door saying, "Gooey, shall I put the kettle on?" And I really love that analogy, because that's exactly where I'm trying to get my clients to, that their ideal clients already see them as their obvious choice. Then it's just a case of keeping that dialogue going, keeping that connection going, so that when for that person it's the right time to buy, you are top of their list. Because we know that only 3 to 5% of any market is ready to buy at any time. So they may know, like, and trust you. They may believe you're the right person to help them, but they may not be ready. They may not be in a space where they have the time, the energy, whatever they need to invest in working with you. So going back to those original conversations I had through my networking encounters, um, there were several mistakes I saw, and these are things that are so common to pretty much everybody. When I was working in corporate and I was doing leadership communication coaching, it was the same mistakes they were making there. When I've worked with leaders of the UN and these large companies, they're making it's the same mistakes we're all making. And it's not really surprising, because no one's ever really taught, how do you communicate, let alone how do you communicate what's special about you in a way that's engaging to others. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, because it holds your business back. If you're making these mistakes, you're putting people off. You are in front of your ideal client and they're thinking, okay, I don't get it. And you're boring me, so I'm going to go away. That's not where you want to be. You want them to be thinking, oh my gosh, I need this. Tell me more. So that's where we're going to get you to. So let me dive in and share some of these common mistakes. And I'm going to focus in on just 3. There are more, but these are the ones I see most common, and you can change them pretty much instantly. And I'm going to show you what to do instead, how to think differently. So already at the end of this episode, you can go and have much better results from your interactions, from your communications, and start attracting more of your dream clients, which is my goal for everybody who listens to this podcast, to feel really comfortable showing up as the face of their business, owning their value, communicating and marketing that value, and getting the right clients. Because if you're working with the right clients, that is when you're going to have an impact that the world needs. That's when you're going to start having the income that you need to have a sustainable business. So you're not just a flash in the pan, but you can have that impact over time. And that is my goal for you. So the first thing to stop doing, and I'm sorry to say, but coaches and consultants are the worst for this. And it's talking about your tools and your certifications and everything you've done before, your experience. It's not that people don't care, it's that they don't care right now. The people's first question always, when they meet someone new, or they come to your website, or they find you on social media, their number one question always is, what's in it for me? What's the benefit to me of knowing this person and having them in my network? What's the benefit to me of reading this blog post or investing time in this social media post? What's the benefit to me from this person I've just found on the internet? So that's what you want to answer first. Your certifications and the tools you use, you can talk about those later, maybe, but it's not the first thing people are interested in. The first thing they want to know is, can you help me Are we aligned? Do you operate in a way that I like? And do I like you? It's these basic questions that they want to start with. So you want to start there with your messaging. And I heard a brilliant story recently, and I think it was in a book, and unfortunately I can't remember what book it was because otherwise I'd credit the author. But they talk about this idea that imagine you were driving in the rain, in the dark, through a little country lane, and you break down. And then the breakdown truck comes to fix your car, and he pops the bonnet and he like looks underneath. Yep, I can help. This is the problem. And then he said, before I fix it, let me show you what I'm going to use. So I'm going to use this size wrench because this is going to do whatever. And then I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to do that. And you're just thinking, just fix my damn car. No, you don't care. And when you're talking about your certificates and I'm a ACFF or whatever the terms are, they don't care. They're just like, can you fix me? Can you solve my problem? Your tools and certifications, they're irrelevant. Later on, when they're in the later stages of deciding to buy, maybe at that point, they may have the question, well, are you qualified to support me? And they may ask for your certifications then. I have to say, in 16 years, no client has ever asked. Other coaches have asked me because that's a preoccupation for coaches, but not a single client has ever asked me. So it really isn't relevant. They want to know, can you help me? How are you going to help me? What is that process going to be like? What do I need to invest in terms of money and time? And how am I going to feel through this process? These are all the questions that they want. It's all about them. So that's where you have to start with your messaging. Make it all about them. The other mistake, which leads into that, and it's a really big clue, go to your website right now, open it up, and do this quick check. Have you used the words me or I on your homepage? Now, for most of the websites I go to, it's like, I will blah, 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 me, blah, blah, blah. And they're just I all the way through. There's nothing about your client. Now, if you were sitting in a coffee shop and someone said, oh, I do this and I did that and me, you would very quickly lose interest, right? But that's what you're doing on your website. And you don't want to think of your website as a shop window, but more as a reception desk. This is you welcoming your ideal client in and saying, hey, if this is you and you have this problem, I'm here to help you. And this is how that's going to work out for you. That's how this is going to feel for you. This is the process you are going to go through. This is how much time you need to invest. Really make it all about them on your website. So go through your website or any other recent communication that you have. And every time you said can you turn that phrase around so it says you instead? That will make it so much more powerful, and that will ensure that you are speaking directly to your ideal client, because your website is posted out there for a gazillion people to read if they want to, but really you're having a one-to-one relationship with your next potential client. So you want to speak to them using you. So that's a big thing that you want to do. The other huge mistake, again, coaches, consultants, I'm sorry, you are the worst at doing this, but it's talking about big abstract terms that mean nothing to anyone else. So terms like strategy is really abstract. What does that actually mean? You can't picture it. You can't nail it down. It could mean different things to different people. Transformative, associated change, all these things that coaches use all the time. And for normal people, we're like, what? What does that mean? What does that mean for me? So anytime you've got these phrases, you want to tie them down. There's a thing called the ladder of abstraction. So at the top of the ladder, you've got these abstract phrases like innovation, strategy, that could mean anything to anyone. And then at the bottom of the ladder, you've got words like cup, because everybody knows what a cup is. It's solid, that is clear. So we want to tie these abstract phrases and words down into something more solid. So you can use them if they're explained. Or a great way to do it is using stories instead. So you can use case studies, you can use stories from your personal life, you can use analogies. There are all sorts of different stories you can use to give more meaning to the abstract terms. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind when you're developing your marketing and developing your communications in particular and your messaging is don't make them think. If they have to think or work anything out, if the meaning is not absolutely clear, you can make the assumption that they're going to come up with a meaning that's completely different to what you intended. So clear communication is making sure that everything is clearly explained, that you haven't got these abstract terms and that you haven't left any ambiguity in your meaning at all. Because if you leave it to other people to make that assumption and add meaning to your words, then they're going to come up with the wrong thing. So it could be, I've been in coaching for 20 years and you may be thinking, well, that's a really good thing. I've got lots of experience. I've got all these tools. And they may be thinking, oh, that probably means they're out of date. They're not in touch with modern tools and society today. So you need to tell them, I've got 20 years of experience, which means whatever your intention behind that meaning is, so that they are like, oh, okay, that's a good thing. If you leave it up to them to make that conclusion, they may come to the opposite conclusion of what you intended. So the other tool you can use is to go through every sentence and think which means, and keep asking that, which means, and then you'll get to the real meaning behind your words. And often you can just rewrite that sentence or phrase things a little bit differently, and you'll come across much clearer as well. So another phrase that I hear when I originally started, well, and still networking with people, and they tell me what they do, so often I ask, so what do you do? And their answer is, well, it's complicated. You cannot sell complicated. So we want to make that simple. And the way to do that is the same as what we've just been talking about. What does that mean for your client? How does that show up in their life? How will their life be better or different after working with you? That's what you want to talk about. If you're thinking it's complicated, it's because you're thinking too much about all of the tools, all your methodology, all your process, and they don't care about that. So you just need to tell them, well, have you ever met someone who was stuck here or felt this way? Well, I help them feel this way or get this result. And that's all you need to say. And they're like, well, that's interesting. Tell me a little bit more about how you do that. Well, I do it in 3 stages. Like we kind of work here, then we do this, then we do that. Oh, how do you do this bit? And you can have an interactive conversation where you let the other person guide you in what they're interested in. Where are their questions? And then you just answer those over time. So break down complicated. Don't get stuck in your tools and processes and all of the nitty gritty. Just talk about, well, people who are stuck here, I get them unstuck and over there. That's all you need to share. And if you can think a little bit about maybe the 3 core stages of getting from A to B, then you can talk about that in a nice, simple way as well. Usually, it's very rarely complicated. I have worked on some incredibly complicated big industry projects, and when I understand it, and you think, oh, you mean you're doing this? I remember having a meeting once with one of the top directors at one of the largest companies in the world. It's got the biggest private research and development facility in the world. And they had this new project, and it was so complicated. For pretty much 2 hours, they were explaining it to me. And then suddenly I was like, hold on a minute. Is this one thing you're talking about here? And they kept giving it a name, like a pillar, or I can't remember what it was. It's like, is that a person? And they were like, yes, that's a person. It's like, oh my goodness. So this person goes into a department and does all the hard work for them and comes up with a report that nobody else wants to do, but it's going to make everything simpler for the team. And they're like, well, yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, oh my gosh, that's going to be such an easy sell. But they were getting so bogged down in all of the tools and the processes and the folders and everything. But the fact that each department in this company could have someone that was going to go in all of this complicated stuff, so no one else had to bother doing it. And actually, it was going to free up time for everybody. No one was going to lose their job, but everything, all the pointless things they were doing, that every job has pointless stuff that you do, things that got complicated over time. They were going to strip out that so everyone could really focus on performing at their best and doing things that they really enjoyed and made a difference. It's like, that is just such an easy sell. But they had been talking for months about how this was complicated, and they couldn't get anyone to buy into it because no one was getting it. Once we turned that around and just had this really nice, simple one page that would explain it, then, everybody bought into it and everybody wanted it, and they were in high demand, because why wouldn't you? So, yeah, if it's complicated, challenge yourself on that. It probably is not. So you want to take a step back. What's in it for your client? Where are they today? Where do they want to get to? And how do you support that and really bring everything to that? Which brings me to my final recommendation. I say recommendation, but it's really the one thing you absolutely need to do to make your marketing, sales, communication work is know who your ideal customer is. If you want to know what's in it for them, you need to know who they are, because what's in it for them could be different for lots of different people. So if I'm selling a 4x4, if I'm selling it to a mother who wants it for lots of shopping and all the kids stuff, versus if I'm selling it to a woman who wants it for status and for her golf clubs, the message is going to be very different. So I need to know who my ideal client is and what they want to get from this product or service, and then start speaking in those terms. So you need to know who your ideal client is. If you are not comfortable with your niche yet, you need to go further, or you're a bit nervous about doing that, which I understand. It's a bit difficult to reduce the number of people that I'm selling to. It feels wrong when you're a business owner and you just want to help people and make money. Go along to my YouTube channel, search confident niching, or you can put confident niching Melitta into Google, and you will get my video. It's a masterclass on how to niche with confidence, and it will guide you through that process. It was something that I did privately, but so many people get stuck, and it's such a fundamental piece of making everything else in your business work that I've put that whole masterclass on YouTube for you. And so go and watch that. It's going to really help you with all of this process. So hopefully you found this helpful. Keep in your mind, who is your ideal client? Where are they stuck today? Where do they want to get to? And how does your process feed into that? Do not talk about your tools or your certifications or your process or where you were. That can really hold people back. It puts a barrier because they don't get it. It doesn't mean anything to them, and they just want to know what's in it for me. So answer that question first, and avoid any abstract terms by asking which means, until you get to what you're really trying to say. Do those things, and already you'll start to see your communication is much, much stronger. It becomes much easier for you to create, because you'll start to know where to start. You just need to answer this question that your ideal clients have and guide them through that to their conclusion. So have fun trying this out, putting it into practice in your business. If you have any questions, come and ask me. You will find me. I hang out in Dream Clients Club, which is my free community, where you will also get invited to weekly masterclasses with me. We've got the Magnetic Messages Challenge coming up for you after Easter. So go and join there. There's an amazing community. It's completely free. This is what a lot of coaches charge you, upward of $90 per month to join, and I'm offering it to you for completely free. Go to melittacampbell.com/club to find that, and come and let me know there. There's already a post in there where you can discuss these themes from this podcast this week further. So come and let me know. What have you found helpful? What has stood out for you? What are you going to try? And I want to leave you with one last tip. And I've done it a few times in this episode already, and that is sharing your vision. So sometimes it's complicated, sometimes you don't know all the details, but if you can talk about your vision for a better world, your vision for what you want for your clients, you don't need to include any of the detail. Already, that is engaging enough. And that can often be a powerful image or a story that stays with people's mind and gets them inspired and gets them wanting to help you as well. And if you're in a point of your business where you don't know exactly what you're doing yet, you can still talk about that vision. I'm not entirely sure exactly what that's going to look like yet, but this is what the result is going to be. This is what I'm passionate about helping my clients achieve in their life. And often they'll become part of that discussion and may well give you some great ideas to support you. So that's my final tip on how to deliver communications that are clear and are going to attract the right people and opportunities into your business. As I say, come and let me know in the Dream Clients Club. You'll find us at melittacampbell.com/club, or if you're on School, just search the Dream Clients Club. That's where the community is based. And I look forward to taking this discussion further. That's also how, if you have read my book, Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, it's probably the easiest way to share your review with me, and then I can unlock that bonus training around networking for you. So I look forward to meeting you in the club, and I'll see you again in next week's episode. Bye.